big problem with everything that we're doing, I would guess we would all agree, is not a mechanical one. Okay? It's not the mechanics that are tough. How we eat, what days we keep, and those kind of things. It's the emotional part behind it, the understanding and the wisdom and the knowledge, etc., behind it, that help us make better choices, help us treat. Because remember, the relationship is loving each other, loving our Creator. It isn't just the mechanics of it. Some of you don't recognize the addiction that you have. Ooh, don't be mean to us, Rabbi. If you were an alcoholic, you know you can't enter a bar. You can't enter a place where people are drinking because the temptation would be problematic. If you see people drinking, you know you need to turn around and get away from that. All addictions are like that. I just use alcohol because it's a very simple one to mention that most people understand. Even if you've never been in that place, you've seen it, you've experienced it through other people, so you understand. But all addictions work the same. In other words, once you recognize the addiction, you have to avoid any possibility of spending any time near or around it because you will be tempted to do it. And I love the people that say to me, well, can you recommend some place I can go to go deeper into this stuff? And I'm like, you're struggling with this. Go deeper. You want to chew a steak, you don't have any teeth. Take the nipple and the bottle out of your mouth, and then maybe you could start to chew on something. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just saying is, some of you, because you don't want to deal with your struggles with the basics, you want to go into the more esoteric and interesting and extreme stuff because it gives you a sense, you convince yourself that you're moving forward when you're moving sideways. There's a very simple problem. Okay, it's called submission. We don't understand it. We talk about it a lot, and we have a problem with it because we don't understand the essence of it. Submission is not even an issue until you don't like or you disagree with the one you're submitting to. But what most of you will do is because you don't like it and you disagree, you just walk away and run away and say, that guy's an idiot. Of course, the person was the best thing since sliced bread before they were an idiot. Life is about context. Let me give you an example. How many of you ever wondered, this came up in a conversation the other night, how many of you ever wondered why Yeshua, I mean, after all, he's the Messiah, he was slain before the foundation of the earth, he offered himself freely, would sit there in the garden and prayerfully say, Father, if it's possible to take this cup away from me, can that be done? Was he afraid? No. Was he panicking? No. What was different then than at the foundation, before the foundation of the earth? What was different? The context of him now being in flesh and knowing what that feels like. Physical human being teachers are to be around, but they're only the selected ones with anointing and appointing, not just anybody who out there puts out a teaching. Okay? If I sit down at a piano and start playing, it doesn't make me a piano player. If I pick up a guitar and start playing, it doesn't make me a guitar player. If I pick up a paintbrush and start using paint on a canvas, it doesn't make me a painter. Just because someone posts a teaching, it doesn't make them a teacher. So you could read that verse, and I would have read this verse years ago and just thought, evil, okay, that's just like horrible, mean, just the worst possible people and this kind of stuff, like, rapists and pillaging and murderings and whatever, right? No. In a little while, I was in all evil in the midst of an assembly and a congregation. So a congregation that was doing things perverted and twisted from the way Yahweh intended. See how quickly you can end up in a group of people. If you follow this pattern leads to being in the midst of an assembly of people all doing it that way. And now you really feel like you've arrived when you couldn't be further away. Most of us spend, for those on the video who are listening, I'm counting on my hand as a sort of a metaphor, as a joke, because we consider our paths about 0% of the time. Okay? We spend almost no time thinking about what we're doing and where we're going. The average person does not plan anything in their life You know what they plan? A vacation. You will spend more time planning a vacation than your career. You will. You'll do research, and you'll figure out the best place and the best hotel and the best flights and you'll spend days and weeks and months, but you'll spend no time planning your finances. And then you wonder why you don't have the finances you'd want to have. We don't consider our paths. And that's why if you've ever watched a group, when the conductor's out, the conductor has his hand going to make sure that everybody is on the beat in sync with each other. And they use their hand as a visual. And that's really what we're doing here is a teacher helps everybody get on the same count, on the same beat together. But you got a whole bunch of you that want to dance to your own drum and your own beat and your own rhythm. And if you ever been in a place where anybody did that and they're playing instruments, it sounds like noise. This is what I'm trying to help you get, is to understand the depth of the approach to the basics. And the biggest part that you're going to struggle with of all of it is, will you take correction? Can you be corrected? We're going to finish here in just a second. But understand, the biggest thing that comes up that really gets hard for me is I feel really sad when a person will come up to me and ask me things like, well, I know you say you need a lot of help, but how come you don't ever pick me to help you? Now, that hasn't happened in a while, but it used to happen a lot a few years ago. And my answer, I couldn't tell them the truth. The truth was, you will always, at some point, did you work with anybody? You will always have that moment when you mess up. You cannot avoid, at some point, you're going to disappoint the person you're working for or you're helping. The question is, how will you respond when they look you in the eye and say, that's not what I wanted?